everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month is the Vegan Society, and you can help me help them by donating to our fundraiser here on Twitch, visiting their website, which I've posted in the chat, or simply by watching my streams and bringing your friends, because I'll be making my own donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count. If you enjoyed today's stream, please support my creative work by becoming a Twitch subscriber to remove ads and get cute emotes, joining my Patreon for illustrated postcards and prints in the mail, or sending me some creative fuel through Buy Me a Coffee. You can find links to all these in my Twitch About section. Thank you for your support. Today is Friday, which means it's time for Chibi Friday, and I am back to work on my Hallowed Chibi Animals series that I just started 2 weeks ago. As you can see, this is how far we got at that point. I am now on to the coloring part. Hopefully I can color with markers without smudging any of the ink. I think this is a different kind of paper I haven't tested out. It's supposed to be marker paper, so hopefully it'll be good, but I haven't tested it out before. But even if that doesn't work, I have already scanned this line art, so I could always just print it again if it gets messed up by the markers. But we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. Oh, Peachy the Godslayer is here. Hello! Oh, thank you! Yeah, I didn't mention it yet. Well, I did in my little go live notification. Yeah, today is my vegan anniversary. It's my 3 years. Thank you, thank you. Gotta take a nap before heading out. Oh, yeah, I just took a nap like half an hour ago, so yeah, I totally understand that. I hope you have a great nap. I hope it energizes you and you can get everything you want done afterwards. Thank you so much for stopping by. Great to see you. Alrighty, I'm going to be using my Copic marker, so I've got my swatch book here. And I guess I've got this stuff all stored together on this clipboard, but I don't need the undersketch anymore. This is from last time. The undersketch, and it's got all my info here. I don't need that right now, though. I do want to keep them together, which is why I'm storing them all on here in between streams. But for now, we just pop that in there. I'm left-handed, so I move this to the other side, so it's not in my way. There we go. Okay, I've got my reference image up over here. Something I haven't mentioned this stream, with it being my vegan anniversary, Soon, I chose him. That's who this is. My precious pup, Soon, who passed away 3 years ago on this day. It was him, losing him, that inspired me to finally go vegan, because I realized that even though I couldn't save him, I could save the lives of so many other animals by going vegan. So that's what inspired me. So it's also the 3-year anniversary of his passing. Oh, Wolfax is here. Hello! Yay! So glad to see you. Thank you so much for subscribing for 25 months. Wow! That's literally over 2 years. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Subscribe at Tier 1. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you're having a great day. Hope everything is well where you are. So for the base color, Sun was a Shiba Inu, so we definitely have a really light cream color on the bottom, just like you'd expect. So I might do something from this color group for the base color. One of these seems like it might be nice, but there are a couple others. So this is E for earth tone. There are a couple other groups of earth tones. This is way too red, and the other group is more yellow. Might be too yellow. Yeah, let's stick in that middle group. in between the reddish and the yellowish earth tones. E41 or E40? I'm just looking back and forth between the swatches here and my reference image over there. My brain's working a little slower than usual because I had some sort of cold or something most of this week, and I'm still not 100%. I'm like 90 to 95% better now. But the fatigue hit me again this afternoon, so like I said earlier, I took a little nap. Little 15-minute nap before getting ready for this stream, but my brain is just functioning very slow compared to normal. That's part of the reason why I was late getting started today. And it's hard for me to make this decision. But I keep looking at E41. I keep liking this one, so let's just go for it. E41. Alright, I wonder if I should zoom the camera in. I think I will. Get zoomed more in the frame. We don't need all that extra stuff. Okay. I'm changing up my live streaming schedule as of today. But I realized as I'm no longer going to record my streams on my computer because that adds a bunch of work for me to do afterward. Uploading the stream, it takes up a bunch of physical resources on my computer to just save the files afterwards. Plus it takes up resources as far as the RAM and processor goes while I'm streaming, to record while streaming. But I realized as I was getting ready for today's stream that I could actually keep uploading. If I get one of those automatic uploaders that upload the Twitch stream, so not the recording. What I have been doing is recording at the same time as streaming, with the idea that way if something goes wrong on Twitch's end, I still have that recording available and I can upload it. But I also have the option of uploading what Twitch received, and then that way I'm still not using extra resources on my computer for storage, for processing. And if I get one of those auto uploaders, I'm still saving time as well, not having to deal with going over to YouTube, selecting the file, uploading it, typing in all of the information about it, etc. So I'm going to look into that. If I still have to put the title in and everything, I probably won't do it because I'm trying to eliminate all the things extra that I'm doing. I'm finding it really hard to focus on my main projects because I'm always doing so much stuff. And my mental bandwidth is really being depleted, or it's being used up, and I feel like it could be better allocated to the projects themselves rather than these extra things that I've been doing. So I'm thinking about that. And that way, my YouTube could continue to be a repository of my streams, but not a source of this 20 to 30 minutes of extra work on top of the illustration work that I had done. But if the auto uploader is not going to save me work on a daily basis, and I won't do it, I'll just let the streams disappear into the ether. As I'm coloring this, I'm doing my best when I'm getting to a part with ink to tap rather than pull the marker across to try to keep the ink from smudging. It's working fairly well so far. There have been a couple areas where it's pulled some ink anyway, but not so bad that I feel like I need to start over or anything. I'm quite happy this paper is behaving overall as I would hope. So I never used this paper before. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was a Strathmore marker paper. I wrote it down. I'm gonna look in a second, but I gotta finish putting this on. With the alcohol markers, you gotta keep working because they dry very, very, very fast. If you let them dry and then you aren't done, then when you resume, it will end up having a really obvious line where the dry marker meets the wet marker. And I don't want such a line, so I'm continuing to color in, even though my brain wants to be distracted thinking about what kind of paper this is. Oh, we're almost done. Yay. Okay. Got the base color for his fur in. Let me look real quick. I wrote it down on this sheet. Sketched on B marker. Okay. So this sheet itself is the B marker paper. And this sheet is the Strathmore marker paper. Alright, so we've got that base color. Pretty much everything else is going to be super dark on him. And with markers, it's like watercolor. You want to go from light to dark. So let's choose the next fur color. Can't believe how tired I feel. It's crazy. Yesterday I was like, yay, I feel so much better. I didn't need to take a nap. But also, since I had been sick, I purposefully didn't do anything all day. So that's probably why I didn't need a nap. Today, go back to needing a nap in order to charge up. I'm thinking about whether the next color should be the shadow color for this light fur, or it should be the next pigment of the fur, because his fur was light and like this color and a reddish color, plus a little bit of black around his nose, just like pretty much all dogs have. So might be easier to do the other pigment and then go in and do the shading. So for that, feels like maybe this could be a good base, but we could also go a little bit darker to make sure we get a nice strong contrast. Honestly, these don't actually look that different. E33 and E34. Oh, give me a second. I'm gonna take a sip of I've got some yummy green rose tea. So maybe the bit of caffeine in there will wake me up a little bit. I guess rather than being lighter or darker, what I'm seeing the difference between E33 and E34 is a slightly more red in E33 and slightly more yellow in E34. I'd want more red for soon, so let's do E33. Wish the camera wasn't so dark. The main camera is completely automatic. For some reason it's really not very bright. Oh well. Just have to let it be. Okay, so the red fur on him. I'll start at the tail. His tail is mostly red. See a little bit of lighter fur toward the bottom, but not very much. Okay, and then come down his leg. There's a distinct white part down the front, but the back is a lot of red. You know, I think I missed his back leg when I did that first color, so I'll come back and add that in. Now I've started this, so can't stop. Can't stop now. Okay, and his chest has a lot of white, and his forearm does too. The red comes toward the front, kind of like that. And the red does come all the way around the front of the chest, but it's not as solid as on his back. And the back of his head is pretty much all red. The nice thing with furry subjects is that, so we've got this line happening because I couldn't color fast enough before the marker dried, but that's okay because it's just sort of adding texture to the fur. So you can actually make it work in your favor, or at least not work against you. I'm doing my best to color in a way that reflects the direction of his fur. Whew. Okay, we're not done, but I want to get that back leg before I forget. There. Next, this front leg, there's a tiny bit you can see just along the edge here. And there's none here. This should all be the white, lighter color. But there is red fur on the outside of his ears and the backs of his ears. I think that's good. So I'll just keep going through and doing base color for everything. And then we'll come back and do shadow color. So actually, I'm going to do a little tiny bit more right here. There. So the next base color then, it's probably just going to be the, let's see, I'm going to zoom in on his eyes. So his eyes are so dark, they basically look black. I do have another reference. Let's see if I can get it open. I don't know if it's better for his eyes though. So cute, it's indoors. He's looking right up at the camera. Yep, it just looks totally black. So I'll just do his eyes the same as his nose, I think. And that will be the next darkest color. So I'll go over to the grays, and then we can do a warm gray. I always like choosing warm gray for these types of areas because warmth suggests life. So we've got 4 different groups of gray to choose from, going from cool to neutral, which is still on the cool side, to toner, which is on the warm side, and then actual warm. So let's go for actual warm, the warmest of the grays. And his nose is pretty shiny, and his eyes too, so we'll start with a fairly light color for the base color. Let's do, of course we can add ink and or digital highlights later. So if it's too dark, it's not the end of the world. So let's do warm 4, W4. Hold on a second. I'm going to refresh my Twitch tab. Nope, that's just how it is. For some reason, the numbers are almost being covered up at the top of my Stream Manager page. But that's okay. Just thought maybe I could fix it by refreshing the page. Nope. Okay. So his eyes, it's this area around his eye. Is black, as well as the eyeball, the part we can see. And his nose and lip. I'm going to zoom in on my reference. Because like all dogs, he had this area around his nose where there was a little bit more black too. So I'm going to add that in. That's a good start. So this is cool because we just have 3 basic colors here. It's just his light colored fur, his darker colored fur, and then the black for his eyes and nose. So we'll see how far we get today. I can't remember if I mentioned earlier, but I'm extending the length of my streams. So not just starting an hour earlier, but that early start is an extension rather than a shifting. So I'm aiming for 3 hours a day, 4 days a week. So I might get to a point on this today with 3 hours to work on it where I can't work on it anymore and we might end the stream early, but we'll see. We'll see how far we get. Especially with my brain still being very slow, very sluggish. I also won't be surprised if I don't get to a point where I can end early because I'm finding it very hard to just make basic decisions. It's really weird. I'm not having normal cold symptoms. A tiny bit of respiratory stuff like my nose running a little bit more than usual, a little bit of a sore throat, but not like full-blown stuck in bed because I just can't get out, you know? Can't breathe, need to be drowning myself in medicine kind of thing. Instead, it was just this extreme exhaustion, which I'm still kind of feeling. And then a tiny bit of respiratory symptoms. It is really hard to choose what my shadow color should be for fur, but I guess this is the closest to what I'm seeing in the reference photo. Because I'm thinking, do I go up to this color or do I go over? This one is a lot darker. This is E43, this is E31. This one's a lot darker than the other option, but the hue seems more correct. It's cooler, and it's a shadow color, so we want it to be cooler. So let's just go for it. E43, let's try it. Something that I realize is actually nice about not recording and not keeping recordings of my live streams is if I stumble over my words or say something stupid, it disappears into the other along with the stream. So after a week, it'll be gone. So there's both positives and negatives to not recording my streams anymore. So I got to think about it. Do I even want to keep recording my streams? Maybe I don't. Maybe it would be better to know that it's not going to be there for all eternity. It doesn't really matter too much from that point of view, though, either way. So what I'm trying to do, ultimately, is just get myself as much time as possible to work on the actual projects rather than all this supporting stuff. So it doesn't really matter to me that much if a silly slip-up is recorded for all time. That's not really what I'm concerned about. That's just a little side effect of choosing to record or not record. The less mental energy I have to dedicate to maintenance and stuff like that, the better. I just want to spend as much time as possible creating. That's been a struggle for me for forever. How can I just focus on the creation of my work when I drain my mental energy? Because it really is, it's not like some imagined thing. It really is a limited resource. The mental energy is a limited resource. If I'm spending it all on stuff like my blog and uploading to YouTube, updating my portfolio, all these different things, some of them, yeah, I should probably keep up with it. Other ones, I don't know how important it really is when I think about it hard. But most important is getting the work done, because if I don't get the work done, there's no point updating the blog. There's nothing to update the portfolio with. So yeah, and it's not just recently. I've been thinking of this all year and making various different changes all year. This part of Soon is kind of hard because he actually has a bandana on in the reference photo, but I don't have the bandana on him in this drawing. So I'm having to sort of make stuff up where I can't see exactly how it's working. Okay, that's gonna look good for now. I'm gonna group my markers over here so that I know which ones I'm using for what. So these two are for his lighter color fur. It's nice, he only has the 3 basic colors, so I only need 3 groups of markers. It's really easy to keep track of. So next color, I used E33, so we need a step darker for the shading on that. . This one seems like the next darker color, but it's not as red as I would like. This one's more red, but it's also way darker than this one. Maybe I'll do a test. So I'll get them both out, E35 and 37. And we'll just do a little swatch test in the corner. This is the basic color. And I'll give it a second to dry so we can get a more accurate idea of how it'll work. This one's dry, so we'll let this dry. If you're hearing a kind of slurping sound, Aoife's having an eating or drinking dream. She's the pup in the upper pupper can. On the upper right on my stream right now. Her face is twitching. I think her legs are twitching a little bit too. But all you can see is the main part of her body. So you probably can't tell that she's having a dream. And she definitely is. Whiskers are twitching still. Alright, hopefully this is dry enough now. Let's try E35 first. It is pretty yellow. And then this one was the E37. Yikes, but it is very dark like I thought. Let's do it. We don't have something kind of in the middle. Well, this E25 is more red. Let's get that one. E25. It's actually not that different from E37. And it's still a pretty dark jump compared to the E35. Well, we'll just go with E35. Yep. So even though it's more yellow, the change in shade seems more appropriate to me. So I'm going to put these other ones back. Might end up getting them back out anyway, but for now, to keep things simple, I'll just keep the one I'm actually going to use. Never put my clippy back on my swatch book. There we go. Okay, now I'm looking for, well, in this case, we've got both areas that need some shadow, and also areas that just seem to have more pigment in the fur in the first place. Oh, Sarah is here too. Hello, Sarah. Thank you so much. Yay. Thank you for resubscribing. 22 months. Woo. Here for a little bit. Hang in there. Hope you're doing all right, relatively all right. Take it easy. At least while you're here with me, I hope you can have some relaxation time. Had a little sip of my tea. Rose green tea. Hope you mean that in a cute baby way and not in a, why are you on my stream? You need to be calling the doctor way. For some reason, this is a very squeaky marker. Okay. He's full of warm milkies. That's good then. One of these times I'm going to actually remember to send you our extra copy of Suikoden so that you could have some relaxing time too. Maybe, if you felt like it. If you felt like playing Suikoden as a way to relax. I actually have it on my to-do list. I just keep forgetting. When the weekend comes, my brain is like, no, I am done thinking about anything anymore. Yep. Time is an abstract concept. Yep. Why are you saying that in particular, though? Ooh, sometimes this marker is so squeaky. I don't understand why. It keeps happening when I'm doing a really small section, so that's got to have something to do with it. Because time goes by, stuff doesn't get done. Holy heck, it's been how long? Oh, yeah. Yep, it's like me sending you that game. It's been on my to-do list on Habitica. So like an actual to-do list that I see every single day. But I like see it at the end of the day and I didn't send it again today. Oops, didn't send it again today. Oh, it's a month old now. Wow. I did not think it's been that long. It'll be a year in no time. You'll be like, what? How is it possible? How am I planning a baby's first birthday party now? This is looking more and more like soon as I add more and more color. It's really exciting. Oh yeah, first Christmas, that's right. First Christmas first. Well, when it's baby's first Christmas, there's not, I think it's not actually, I mean, I don't have experience, but I imagine it's not actually as bad as baby's like fourth Christmas, where they are now aware of the idea of presents and the idea of getting stuff at a special time of year and stuff, and they have expectations. Baby's first Christmas, baby's just like, I just want to eat and sleep. I want to be dry and clean. That is all I want. Too young to spoil. Ah. Not sure how we will handle family. Yeah, that's tough. Especially if there are any suspected issues. How to nip them in the bud. Not let it become an issue in the first place. Okay. I think I'm going to skip a color. So with the grays, it's really easy to just go 1, 2, 3, 4 because we've got from 0. Actually, there's a warm gray 00, but I don't have it. Warm gray 0, W0, all the way to 10. But the areas I'm coloring with it are very dark, so let's just go ahead and skip from 4 to 6. And I'm going to zoom in on my reference image. So before I was just filling in and I didn't have to look at this. But now I want to preserve certain areas. So the nostril, definitely super dark. It's going to end up even darker than this. So go ahead and color that in. Now the top of his nose is quite well lit by the sky. This is an outdoor photo that I'm working from. And this little part. And there's also a section at the bottom that is fairly well lit as well. Try to preserve that too. This bottom lip is quite dark, so let me just color that all the way in. Now his eye here, I'll try to keep some of the highlights that I'm seeing and color it in. And then the skin around his eye is also lit in different ways. There's this brighter patch right here. And it's darker most everywhere else. Alright, that'll be good for this color. And it is just about break time. I'm going to continue, even though I'm now streaming 3 hours. I'm still going to keep taking a break every hour or so for my physical health. So I recommend everybody else take this opportunity to get stretched and refreshed as well. I'm going to put my be right back sign on, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes. everyone, I'm back. I hope you had a great break. I did some stretching and looked outside in the bright sunlight, so I hope I feel a little bit more awake soon. Probably is not going to happen though. I've been this tired for like a couple hours now. It's probably not going to change at this point. Or if it does change, it's probably just going to get more tired, but I'm going to do my best, keep working through it. So we've got some nice progress going on here. We're just going to keep going darker and darker for our coloring on Soon. So I really like the texture. He's starting to look more three-dimensional. The shading's starting to look really good, but he's still looking pretty flat. So we just got to keep going until he looks right. So our next color, Sarah, living that exhausted life. Yeah, especially this week. I skipped all my streams until today because I was sick with something. But my major symptom was just extreme fatigue. Like, cannot function. I'm so tired I'm going to fall asleep where I stand kind of fatigue. And otherwise, just barely, a little bit of sore throat, a tiny bit of runny nose, like hardly anything. And that fatigue is hitting me again today. Yesterday I thought that I was better. But yesterday I literally didn't do anything. So I think that's why I was feeling so much better yesterday. Today, I actually went back to my normal schedule of doing stuff, and now I'm like, oh, how do I get through the next few hours? I took a nap right before the stream. That was enough to charge me up to get ready for the stream, but it wasn't enough to charge me up so that I'm not fighting it off right now. My brain is like molasses right now. But I'll just keep working through it. I can do this. Okay, so we used E41 for the base color for his light colored fur. We used E43 for the shadow. So I guess the next logical step is E44. There's a nice contrast between these two colors. So let's just go ahead and go with that. E44. Honestly, I might end this stream a little bit early if I get to a good stopping point, even if I'm not done with this, because it really is getting to that point where I'm like, how do I keep going? Resources are running low. Brain resources. But next week is a rest week, and what my rest weeks are is where I do other studio work like update my blog and work on Patreon rewards, so I'm not ready for Patreon rewards yet, but that's one of the things I would do. So I won't be streaming next week because I'll be doing other work. So I wanted to at least try getting a little bit more done today. Fatigue is a beast. Yep. It's so frustrating for me too because I felt fine otherwise. I just couldn't function. It really felt like I had a meter on me and it was on empty. Little thing pointing to empty. It's just so weird. I'm used to being so sick that, like, everything is just, no, red alert, shut down everything. Instead, it was, I did have loss of appetite on the first day. I just wasn't hungry. So that is another symptom, but it was just so small compared to extreme fatigue. There's really no better word for it either. It wasn't just tiredness or lack of energy. It was really... So, doing my best. Face that. Get through it. Even if it's slow, I am still making progress on this either way. So that's good. Yeah, I've gotten a lot better. I did a lot of boundaries work earlier this year. So that, what you said, fatigue is real. The worst part is the guilt. That I learned is actually part of boundaries. So feeling guilty about taking care of yourself because you're exhausted or whatever, that's a sign of unhealthy boundaries. So I have felt better about that. So taking off this week. Didn't feel as guilty as past me would have. Past me would have been racking your brains trying to figure out how to keep working anyway because everyone will be disappointed. At least me now is like, no. We need to sleep. We need rest. It's too bad. The book that I read that really helped is called Boundary Boss. I recommend it to anyone thinking about doing a little boundaries work. It was mind-opening and life-changing. I'm so glad I found it. I just found it at the used bookstore. I was just looking in that section, hoping there would be a book. And there was, and it was exactly what I needed. This is coming along really nicely. Very happy about this. It's looking more and more like him. It's so exciting. Let me have some more drink of my tasty tea. And let's go to the third color for his red fur. What I used was E33 and E35. Yes. So this one and this one. So 37 and 39 seem very similar to each other. 39 seems to have a redder tint, which is what I've been trying to err on the side of. So I'll get E39 out and I'll test it on my little swatch area down here first. E39. That's pretty dark. That's a pretty big jump. Let me get E37 and see. Might end up choosing the same way I did before. More about the shade than the hue. Well, it's just as dark. Alright, sweet. Well, I'll go with my first choice then. Put this one back. E37 going back. just look around on the reference photo, looking for the areas where we need this extra dark red fur. We're starting to get where I might leave some for colored pencil, because that'll be next. It's starting to get so small and fine that it would just be better to do it with a colored pencil on the next step. Alright, I'm actually going to go back to my middle color and add more in certain areas. I'm adding now not just color but texture. I'm purposefully making really wide separated lines to add more texture to his fur. go in with the lightest red color, red fur color. Do the same. That more fuzzy texture. So he was a very fuzzy boy. Oh, it's looking really good. It's really looking like him. Okay, let's move on to his eyes and nose. So we went W4, W6, so let's just go to W8. Warm gray 8. And I just realized his toenails, well, they're not visible in this photo. That's why I had that other one, which where did it go? Is this the one? Where is the other? Okay, I'll just open it again. Ah, I think I just closed it before. Okay, my other reference, which I have so I can see what his toes look like. I remember some of his toenails weren't black. Actually, I don't know if this photo shows either, because of the angle that his feet are at. Well, I will just do all his toenails black, because his fur is covering him up. In some cases, other cases, his toes are turned in a way that you can't see all the toenails anyway. I'll just let them all be black. It'll be fine. But the toenails are so small on this drawing, I'm not going to do it with marker because the marker's too big. Okay, so time to zoom in on the photo reference. See where we want to add this next darker color. Going back to the original base color to bring a little bit more shadow in right here, but I don't want to darken it up too much. looking more and more like Soon. Looking more and more like my Soon boy. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to go back to the lightest color fur and add where we can add. So let's see, I did E41, E43, and E44. So I'm not going to go this direction. This is way too dark. Is there a color? I might actually go to the grays. Maybe I'll use a warm gray actually, because all of these are too pigmented. So I go to warm gray. 4, maybe 6 actually, and I already have those out, so that's really handy. If I go from E44, yeah, E44 already seems darker than W4, but W6, let's try W6. We have it out already, so we can try it and see if it will work as a shadow color, as a next level shadow color. Oh yeah, I think it does. Sweet. We don't need very much. Just a few areas where there's even darker shadows happening. That's probably good. His tail is the only area where it really feels like we need to go another level darker. Probably because he actually had some black hairs mixed in. Parts like that along his back and the back of his tail. So I'll just go ahead and use the W8. Another one that I already have out anyway. Just add that really dark area. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Yay. And W8, I'll put a little bit in the ear. It seems like a little too dark to do too much though. Let's see. I feel like I need something else for in the ear because it's too... W8 is too dark. I guess I'll just try another layer of W6. That's pretty good. Okay, sweet. We'll just do that. Awesome. Okay, so the red color fur is next for level 4 shading. I guess it's level 3 shading, level 4 color. A fourth layer of color. So what do we have? 33, 35, and 39. So we basically went these 3. So next level darker color will probably be one of these. $27. I think I got that one out before. Or was it 37? You don't really need to go too much darker. Try E27. Mostly where I see I want to add more is around his ear here. Man, I'm quite pleased with this. It's looking so good. It's looking just like him. I think that's good for that. You don't want to overdo it. If you add the super dark color all over everywhere, you still end up with a flat looking image. And what I'm adding these for is to create depth. Okay, so that means that his eye and nose are next. So the darkest color I have available in warm gray would be next according to the pattern I've been choosing. So let's just go for it. W10. Let me zoom in on the photo. So this is mostly going on his eyeball. That dark area around his eye is already dark enough now. And then it's nosy. Lip to make that quite dark. Now that it's really dark in certain areas, in other areas I feel more confident adding even more to it. So I don't want to lose the color of the paper shining through. That's one of the things that makes marker and watercolor so nice, is that part of the coloring is the paper shining through. They're transparent or semi-transparent, and so that's why it's always nice to work from light to dark. But as it gets darker, you can see more and more where you can take it further, or where you should really call it good and not mess with it anymore. Okay, I am going to go all the way to a black marker. Actually, first I'm going to have a little bit more tea. There's a little bit left in my cup here. May as well finish it off. Okay, I'm going to put that in my water log. 8 more ounces. Boom. Okay. Now I'm going to go to an actual black marker. I have 2 choices. I've never quite understood exactly what the difference is, but when I look at them side by side here in my swatch book, 110 looks a little cooler and 100 looks a little warmer. So I'll go with 100 since I've been using warm gray this whole time. I might have to just use ink, because what I'm finding is there's so much marker now. I wonder if it's bleeding through to the back. Oh, not as bad as I expect, but what I'm finding is that it just keeps absorbing into the paper and it's not getting as black as I would like. With ink, it tends to sit on top of the paper rather than soaking in. So I'm going to get my pens out. And let's try, let's see, put 10. This is too big. Yeah, let's go to an 8. It's a little bit too big. Don't want to overdo it. Don't want to overdo it. Eva's the one snoring right now, if you're hearing that. that's good. Let me zoom in real quick. I really am having a tough time right now. I think I might end my stream a little bit early. Here's a little close-up of how far we got. So we started and finished the marker and added a little bit more ink to the eye and the nose. Wish I could get it to really show you that. Oh, that shows it. There, you can really see the difference between the ink and the marker there with the light shining on it. But honestly, I am struggling a bit at this point. I was already having a hard enough time earlier this week that I just decided not to stream. So even though it's quite early, it's only half the amount of time I intended to stream today. I think I'm gonna call it good for today because I'm just really, truly exhausted. So that's gonna be it for today's stream. We're stopping at a really nice point. When I come back to this, I will start working with colored pencil. And I will not be back next week because, like I said earlier, it is my rest week, which means rest from streaming so that I can do some other studio work, such as updating my blog, updating Patreon, etc. So that's what I'll be doing next week instead. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. For everyone who resubscribed, an extra thank you. I really appreciate everything you do to support Studio Mikarts. If you're new to my channel and you want to see more, please follow Studio Mikarts on Twitch to get notified next time I go live. You can also support me by becoming a Twitch subscriber to get ad-free viewing and cute emotes, joining my Patreon for lovely illustrations in the mail, or sending some creative fuel through Buy Me a Coffee. All the links are in my Twitch About section. Thank you for your support. I'll be streaming again in 2 weeks, getting back to work on my Onomatopoeia Bees project, so I hope to see you then. Either way, let me wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for watching.